This is Red, White, and Bluegrass.
On Thursday, we saw President Trump sign an executive order to begin dismantling the Department of Education, a key campaign promise. The president has tasked the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, with dismantling the department. Congress created the agency in 1979 to combat segregation. It sends billions to public schools each year, which makes up about 14% of K-12 school budgets. The White House insists its closure will have no impact on public services. Opponents say dissolving the agency could be illegal and likely requires an act of Congress. They also argue it could hurt low-income students and students with disabilities. Senator Mitch McConnell didn't give any specific views on the matter when asked during a visit to Lexington Thursday.
I'm just going to wait, and like all of us, in effect, are going to wait and see whether this is permissible or not.
Do you think it's a good idea or not?
I think it's a good idea to reduce government spending.
The White House says it'll keep key programs like Pell Grants and the more than $1 trillion in federal student loan programs that the department oversees, but those responsibilities would be moved to another agency like the Small Business Administration or the Department of Health and Human Services. So I'll start with you here, Representative Camuel, and I know you do some work in education here, so this is familiar territory for you. From your perspective, what are the pros and cons that you see with the Department of Education? Can you weigh those?
Oh, well, I can't come up with a pro for it, and I'm not 100% sure that the current president understands.
A pro for dismantling.
Pro for dismantling. Oh, well, no, I can't come up with a pro for dismantling. I cannot come up with a reason to do that. I think it's a bad idea. I think the current president actually does not fully understand what the Department of Education does. I know we've heard his talking points that he wants to return the power back to the states, but we actually create all the laws pertaining to K-12 education. Federal government doesn't come up with the curriculum that we're going to use or the standards. They don't create the reading lists. Primarily what they do, what the federal government does for K-12 is it funds Title I initiatives that really targets like the underserved, the poorest Kentuckians, as well as those with special needs. Also our food programs, and we know that in schools sometimes the breakfast and lunch are the only meals a child gets a day. So the states already have local control. Our local boards of education, the state legislature, I mean, we've passed how many bills in both chambers that impact education. Like we are in control.
Well, let's bring in Senator Tichenor here. I saw your post on X that you support this move. Curious from your perspective why this is coming now. Why did this didn't happen in the first term of the Trump presidency?
I'm not sure that the desire was there in the first term. I think what we've seen unfold in the last probably 6-7 years has been exposing public education and how the Department of Education at the federal level has been influencing the states, and people don't like it. And what we're also seeing over the decades of its existence is a downward trajectory. We aren't improving in education, and if they only exist to send money, we can find other ways to do that. Right now it's a huge organization, over 7,000 employees, average salary $112,000 per employee. They have a $260+ billion budget annually, and our education isn't improving. But when you look at a lot of the opposition, as Representative Campbell mentioned, is the funding for Title I, the funding for the Individuals with Disabilities Act, Education Act. Those all existed prior to the Department of Education. They have been, they were brought about in law through Congress, voted on. They would have to be repealed by Congress if the department went away. That's not going away. Those avenues of funding are going to still exist for our education at the state level. It's just going to be determined by a different person who's going to distribute it. Is it going to come to the state and the state distribute it at the local level, which I think would be fine. I think our Kentucky Department of Education can adequately meet those needs, and as far as food goes, the U.S. Department of Agriculture funds our food programs inside of our schools, so we shouldn't see a hiccup from that either.
Do you think it'll end up taking an act of Congress to fully implement the order?
I do believe so, and if I recall when I read the language of the executive order, she was to start the dismantling at the extent that she has the legal authority to do that. I do believe there is, Congress is going to have to
be the one to eliminate the department fully from the inside out. It's just the process of trying to cripple it. which I don't think is a good move. The Department of Education has been around for decades and has actually done a lot of good. Now, from Kentucky's perspective, I would say that education is remaining strong. I'm proud to say we've got 2 kids who are fine products of public schools, my husband and I as well, but if the state legislature would fully fund education, tie it to...
Fully funding, what is that number again?
Are you talking about per pupil?
Oh yeah, we can't ever find out what the number to
It's
fully fund is.
$5,400 per pupil.
That's it? That would fully fund everything?
That's the per pupil. That doesn't include transportation because we're still underfunding transportation in the state of Kentucky as well. But if we invest in our education, if we make sure that teachers are paid well, if we stop attacking education, we will attract more teachers to teach and then continue our education flourishing. We did it before, we can do it again.
Well,
and another reason, $268 billion sitting in a bureaucratic agency could come down to the states in order to fund our education better at the state level.
Well, next year is a budget year, so it'll be time for y'all to get down to the numbers at the table, so we'll have to leave it right